Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.
Hey everybody, my name's Andrew, and this is my brother Tristan, and welcome back to the Tate Experience.
Is that what it's called?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
I keep going down Andrew Tate rabbit holes, and I'm
Tell me all about it.
I don't know. I think he's right. I think him and
Right
Alex
of center?
Jones are no, I mean like correct. Like it was he is being targeted by the evil Matrix, and
I mean, he just says inflammatory shit. Like that's his brand.
yeah.
He's a rich guy that says stuff in a rude way, and people love it.
Yeah, it's interesting, like the industry that's growing from. It's like call and response, right? Like it's like the if the left gets too far left and starts like the whole Andrew Tate thing was like there's an attack on masculine men. That's why like Jordan Peterson got famous too, right? It's like it's inappropriate now to be a masculine man, but men should be masculine. And then so like all the people that believe in stuff like that get thrown to one side. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like it's like the left is pushing people into the arms of these people that are only becoming a thing because the left is pushing them away.
I wouldn't say that they're pushing them away. So here's how I see the issue of like the emasculated current quote unquote society. I think the emasculation of our society is everything to do with just the way that we live and the fact that nobody does anything that's remotely like quote unquote masculine anymore. Like when's the last time you motherfuckers chopped wood? When's the last time you built a shelter for your family? When's the last time you killed an animal and gutted it? When's the last time that you had to like fight off another person to defend yourself or to defend your family? Like when's the last time you had to go to war? I mean, well, it depends where you're listening from, maybe constantly.
Shout out our like Belarusian listeners.
Exactly. Like there's all these things that they, you know, that's touted as the masculine way of doing and the current evolution of masculinity is just like having a lot of money and being an asshole and a misogynist. And it's like that's the modern day equivalent of you know, being a tough person that, you know, gathers resources for their family and does what they can to protect them. But nobody's in touch with that shit anymore. Like I just started getting into camping, you know, like in the last couple of years. My family was never really into it. My dad just wanted to go to hotels and shit. And you know, I got into camping and into like uncomfortable camping, not just like, you know, front country glamping. And just like doing like off weather, bad days, like no facilities, stuff like that. And it's like, wow, I feel different about this kind of stuff. Like you feel more human. Like not even just like I feel more manly. I just feel more human. And I think so many people, they just never get that response. And like, oh, what I'm missing is hate and misogyny and whatever the fuck Tate's spewing. And it's like the truth of it is, yes, you are completely removed from all the what you believe masculine things are, but it has nothing to do with the fucking liberals. That's just the narrative.
Here's the thing. I'm trying to be not as controversial. However,
Why?
what is wrong with misogyny? Just kidding.
I was gonna be like,
I don't think Andrew Tate's a misogynist. I think
no, but his audience,
and I don't think Kanye West is a Nazi.
I don't know if Andrew Tate's a misogynist either. I mean, like he talks like one, and he has that kind of narrative, or he has that kind of like rhetoric. But it's like, is he actually?
Well,
probably.
Do people that believe in gender roles, like, are they automatically misogynists?
Believe in what?
Gender roles.
Gender roles? No.
Yeah. Like
I don't think so.
One of the things that Andrew Tate got banned for off of, I think it was YouTube, was like the final straw, was that he said that if he went on a plane, he prefers if there's a male pilot because he thinks that men are better under pressure if there's a problem. But
just objectively false.
But then he just said after that was, when I go to a daycare, I want women looking after my daughter because I think they're more empathetic and like natural, better at taking care, and they actually care about children, and et cetera, et cetera.
Let me tell you 3 ways that he's wrong.
Okay.
First of all, women that are commanders, become commanders of either like countries or militaries, tend to do exceptionally well. Women are very good under pressure and can handle a lot of chaos a lot better than a lot of men can. They get men, I want to say, are pussies most of the time.
I will counter.
I'm
with
saying that in the most honoring way.
I'm going to counter that, saying that every single female military commander, lesbian.
So what are you saying about the gender?
They're men.
Okay.
Men like women.
So you
Right?
believe in
Man,
gender fluidity?
I don't.
So in order to be a misogynist, you have to believe in
Wait.
gender fluidity?
And then crush it. Yeah. No. I
No, my next point
Yeah.
was, I
I just
think,
want to get off this topic because it's not. Neither of us believe any
No.
of this. Like,
but
it's like not even
it's
worth-
interesting to think about though, because like I've always heard a lot of these tropes, and like the cool under crisis is not a fucking thing. That has everything to do with like your training and your life experience. It has nothing to do with your gender. Women can handle it just as well or as poorly as men. I think the like flying a plane specifically as an issue.
Mhm.
One of my favorite statistics is 70% of co-pilot, or 70% of pilots report having fallen asleep at the stick,
It's fine.
and
It's boring.
in more than half of those cases, they woke up to find the other pilot also sleeping.
Nice. Like it.
And there's not that many crashes. Like, there's hardly any crashes. These things fly themselves.
Yeah.
And when something does go wrong, badly enough that it may crash and it requires someone cool under pressure to handle things properly, like 99 times out of 100, that plane's going down. If it's
Yeah.
going down, it's going down. Like, you can't fucking stop it.
I could save the plane if I was on the plane and like it was.
I mean,
the-
you'd be like that movie with Denzel where he's fucking drunk and he saves the plane. It's pretty cool.
There was a guy in real life that landed a plane, and they asked him how he knew how to fly a plane. He's like, fucking Microsoft Flight Simulator.
No, it wasn't even. I don't think it was a flight simulator. It was like just a video game.
Yeah,
It was like
that's real though.
it was like a Nintendo or like a PlayStation game.
I have a
I don't think it was like an actual flight
I
simulator.
have a few plane stories.
Yeah.
So this
Go
guy is in a pub in like Chicago, and he's drunk, and he's bragging to the other people how one time he got drunk and stole an airplane
And then landed it on the street.
and landed it in front of the bar, and nobody believed him. So he took a shot, left, went to the airport, stole a plane, and landed in front of the bar for the second time to prove that he could do it.
Yeah.
That's
like
a good one.
It's like the guy that fell out of a building and survived and then did it again.
The girl that took 6 months of helicopter flying lessons, and then on her last lesson took the helicopter, flew over a prison, and picked up her boyfriend who was on the roof of the prison and escaped.
There's actually a lot of instances like that when you dig into the history of like anti-fascists and like leftist revolutionaries. The amount of times they break their like significant other or their friend out of prison, unbelievable. Like so many prison breaks. Like some of these people break out of maximum security prison like 4 times. It's like it was like helicopters, explosives, like just, fuck it, right? When you're at that level, I mean, you're all in already.
You know, in Germany, it's not illegal to break out of prison
Yeah.
because you have a innate want to be free, so they don't punish you for it.
Unless you hurt people or
Yeah,
do other
obviously.
crimes
But then
on the
that's
way
different
out.
because assault is illegal, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I recall I read the article, and it's like they'll fine you for property damage,
Right.
but they won't like add years to your sentence.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. That is fair. Fair is fair.
Fair is fair.
I like the Kevin Gates said, I don't hate cops. Their job is to catch me, and my job is to not get caught.
I would disagree with that.
So I kind of feel like that's me with like prison, right? Like your job is to keep me here, and my job is to get out, and
I mean,
we're just doing our jobs.
I could see that, like, maybe feeling that way about like tax authority, but I don't think I could feel that way about cops, because cops aren't like, oh, we'll catch you if you commit crimes. No, cops are like, we'll brutalize you and maybe murder you if we're suspecting you of maybe committing a crime, or maybe just for fun. And then what's the antithesis of that? Of like, what, we just like sometimes murk a cop for when you get pulled over, sometimes just for shits and giggles. It's like, that would be the equalizer, I guess. So it's like, at that point,
Antifa does that all the time.
They do not, and if they did,
yeah,
I would know about it.
The organized Antifa
would donate more,
right, to their GoFundMe
in Minecraft.
Black Lives Matter.
No, I wouldn't donate more.
I'm gonna clip that. I just said Black Lives Matter, and he said no immediately.
Because the
Black Lives Matter, except Kanye West.
The charity of Black Lives Matter that like committed that financial fraud is not equal to the movement of Black Lives Matter. It's not a 1-to-1. It's like the not-for-profit that's incorporated by that held by some number of people is not the movement. The movement is the thing, and they just grifted off of it.
I don't think. Never mind. I was going to say something racist.
Thanks for stopping yourself.
No problem.
On that thread, though, of...
What thread, Tyler?
So...
Oh, he was about to say something racist.
So Twitter files and free speech absolutism. I was thinking about it today as well, because we did debate this previously. Whether or not I'm a free speech absolutist, and I think I've got a more nuanced view on the idea now.
Okay.
So, if you remember previously, I fell on the side of being more free speech absolute than not. Like, if you had to choose.
Okay, here, pre-drunk, free speech absolute in one word, yes or no?
No.
I'm yes. Okay, let's revisit it at the end of the episode. We're trying to bring the podcast back
This
to
is
its
a new
roots.
thing. We're trying to do what we were originally trying to do.
We're trying to bring the podcast back to its roots, where we used to debate like one topic, but then Tyler and I agree on so many things.
It's hard to debate.
So this is going to be more like a clarity through alcohol, which is the entire theme of the podcast. So let's go from there.
Clarity through drinking. So the basis of my understanding, or the change in my understanding, the basis of my argument is the tolerance paradox.
Okay.
So
that sounds like is that like the Callisto Protocol?
No, it's a pretty basic idea. I'm just gonna read it straight from the internet here because it's well worded. Okay, so the paradox of tolerance states that if a society is tolerant without limit, its ability to be tolerant is eventually seized or destroyed by the intolerant.
Because you're tolerant of the intolerant people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in order to have a free speech society or a tolerant society, which is, that's an equivalence. In order to have a free speech society, you must be intolerant of people that use speech that is like hateful or intolerant of others' speech and others' expression. That's
why punching Nazis is always okay.
Exactly. Like that's 100%. Like it should just be legalized. You should be able to brick a Nazi. So the idea, the idea is we always get lost in this argument when we're, with our group of friends and we're talking about like politics or any of these issues. It's always the bad actors that ruin every good idea.
Well, yeah.
And because a lot of the good ideas are about like equity and acceptance and like justice for all and all these things. And then there's on the other side the people that abuse that system because it is equitable and generous and open and liberal, right? And then people abuse that. And it's usually people that they're going to fuck around and do bad shit no matter what system they're in. And that system, in order to maintain its freedom and its tolerance and its equity, needs to be intolerant of these people. And I was never able to kind of reconcile this idea, but because it's a paradox. But as soon as I realized and understood the idea that it is a paradox and that's just how it is, in order to be completely in favor of free speech, you have to be intolerant of the type of people that have that.
But I guess like
intolerance.
here's where the argument gets muddy though, is because
Who's the arbiter?
Exactly.
Where's the line?
Exactly, because is somebody that believes something that you don't agree with, is that all of a sudden you shouldn't be tolerant of those people?
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with, like, this is why.
But I don't agree with like killing Jewish people.
Right. So,
but somebody that does believe that.
That's the thing. It's a relatively easy argument or easy line to draw. Is it intolerant behavior or is it tolerant behavior?
But where do you draw the? Okay, again,
that is the line. Intolerance, or like, if, for example, the reason I was thinking about this as well, I just listened to a podcast episode by, I think it was New York Times, The Daily, about the book banning campaigns that are happening in a lot of the American schools. And they're going through, like, they make it sound like a big deal, but you're talking about like high school libraries here mostly. And
yeah, all those kids that spend all their free time in the high school libraries.
Yeah, point number one.
Yeah.
So these books, or these libraries, tend to have like 10,000 to 50,000 books, depending on the size of the school. It's a lot of books.
I'm just trying to envision my high school library, and I can't.
Yeah, so 10 to 50,000 books in the typical library, and these book bans and these like really heated, angry, vulgar in a lot of times, like school board meetings where the parents come and they're like, "You're grooming our kids," and they like read out the definition of like pedophile and all this shit, and like, your librarian's a pedophile for stocking these books, and like they're just saying obscene shit that just doesn't even make any logical sense. But the good thing is, schools actually do have a very particular process for removing books. It's pretty easy to get books in, but it's hard to remove them because the librarian can just go out and choose what book she wants.
Why did you assume the librarian was a woman?
Sorry, the one in the story was a woman.
Okay.
She was in her 60s.
Good save.
That's what I'm thinking about. So she would go out and she'd pick these books, and they exclusively, at least within the scope of the investigation that was done by New York Times, which obviously I take it with a grain of salt, was LGBT books that had a little bit of sexual content in them. And in this particular incident, the parents wanted 5 books from the library banned that had depictions of like gay sex in the books. And this is granted a high school, so 14 to 17-year-olds, which most of them are probably already having sex, watching porn, and have been for years.
Yeah, they're watching gay porn at home.
Right. Like, first of all, banning the books does not prevent these kids from getting their hands on the information.
Yeah.
Number one, and they're acting like one of the books that they the board, out of the 5 books, the board created a review council, and the review council was like the principal, vice principal, a community member, and a literary teacher.
They must have hated that because they had to read the books.
Yeah, so they read all the books, and then they reviewed them, they discussed them, and the way the law was in this particular state was, even if there's erotic content in the book, that's okay as long as there is also artistic content, educational content, all these other things that it has to have.
Just pornography.
It's not just it's just not just erotica.
It's not just the books your girlfriend reads.
Right. Smut. We love smut.
We don't.
I love smut.
I like clean, wholesome fun.
Well, don't read the Bible.
Do you know that in Canada, for movie ratings, as soon as there's sexual content, it goes to PG-13.
Yeah.
Right. In America, as soon as there's sexual content between a man and a woman, it goes to PG-13, and if it's gay sexual content, it's immediately R.
Nice.
Still in 2022.
Jesus.
Yeah, they're rating boards. As soon as there's gay kissing, it's immediately an R-rated movie.
Those damn Jews.
Yeah. Literally, the Jews run the ratings board.
Yeah. Just quite agreement. But yeah, so 4 out of the 5 books, they passed the review process, and they're like, okay, they're fine. The one that didn't pass was a book called This Book is Gay. And it's literally just
I
about...
wonder what it's about.
It's like I believe it's like a memoir type of style of book, of like someone talking about their story of like coming out.
I'm so glad
And
my mother died.
It's also... Yes. It's also advice about like, here's the gay dating apps. Here's the different ways that like in safe ways that I found to meet people and like hook up and figure out if you're actually gay. And like, it was giving specific advice of like which apps to download to like find gay hookups.
It was
stuff.
actually just capitalist propaganda for these apps.
Literally.
Like
And that's what they took issue with. And that's what the school's like, okay, they're like explicitly saying like, go and sign up for these things and do these things that technically you're not supposed to do as a minor. So like, okay, so
sure.
they're like, okay, we'll take that out. But then they did the next meeting, and there was 30 people that lined up that were like, these books need to fucking go. And there was like 400 that came in support of the book.
It's like during the meeting, the guy that's like ranting, being like, we need to ban these, but you hear his grinder go off on his phone.
Yeah, literally. Literally. Like you're flirting with some news there that I want to talk about later, but so the support was overwhelming from like, it was a lot of students, and they wrote speeches, and it was like very, very well done. And the librarian herself went up, and she's like, the kids that take this book out, she's like, they have to come into my library, walk through a room full of their peers, pick out this book, which is like white with fucking rainbows on it and huge block letters that says this book is gay. They have to walk back across in front of all their peers, go to a 60-year-old woman that they don't know, and check out this book in their name. They're like, the bravery that takes for that person. She's like, that's obviously they are looking for that. They need that. They're seeking that. Like the threshold for doing that is so much lower than just going on the fucking internet. Like,
Yeah.
You're not going to be helping anybody. Like the kid that's like, whose parents are homophobic and fucked up and on the other side of this argument.
How can I be homophobic? My bitch is gay.
Hitman in a top try, see a man topless, even a stick is gay.
Exactly. Like they've maybe got kids that like they're censoring the shit out of their internet. Like maybe their kids are the ones that need this book.
Yeah.
Because it's the only outlet they have. But like, there's no defensible argument to say you have to remove this book from the library because I don't like it.
Yeah.
And the point that they made as well is it's not the sexually explicit content that they were going after. It was only in LGBT books. It was not an issue in all the other books that had explicit straight sex, even some books that had very graphic, explicit rape scenes, but it was heterosexual rape scenes, so it was okay. But they didn't like the gay sex.
Well, they probably think that these books make my kids gay.
Right.
Like if they read this, then it's going to turn
the
them
belief.
gay.
It's all fear-based.
Yeah.
So like that's an example of like tolerance versus intolerance. That is very obviously an intolerance policy, right? Like there's no, it's indefensible if you're like, okay, we're in a free society where people can do what they want, live as they want, fuck who they want, all these things. It is completely indefensible to say we need to remove this book because I don't like gay sex.
Yeah, I guess it just always gets weird when it's minors, when it's children, right?
But
then
that's
it always gets weird with like, because sure, people should be able to do, sex work, but maybe a child shouldn't be able to visit a sex worker, right?
It's
like
not
stuff like that.
But you're reading about something. Like we're talking about high school kids here. Like I said,
Yeah.
I discovered porn when I was 11.
Yeah, I was 2.
Like I discovered porn when I was 11. I think the average age is between like 11 and 13.
Probably earlier now, right, with the internet.
Well, I said average.
Yeah.
Average is 11 to 13, which is pretty, like that's any younger, they're just like, oh, that's gross, right?
Yeah.
Not that they couldn't get it. They just weren't interested.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, they hadn't had a Woody yet.
But I have no response.
I just cut that. It's not useful to censor stuff like, in general. If you're a parent and you're like, I'm going to censor the things that my kids consume, it's just not gonna work. It's gonna backfire on you every fucking time. Like, read
So,
any psychology book about
you know-
parenting, it doesn't fucking work.
You know the thing where you catch your kid smoking, so you make him smoke a pack of cigarettes in a sitting to like turn him off smoking?
That's literally what happened to my dad, yeah.
Okay, so you catch your kid watching gay porn, and you make.
I was gonna say, so you
You see where I'm going here? Well, I was gonna say you
it
just
sounds illegal.
you just now make him watch gay porn for 48 hours straight without sleeping or anything. But then I was like, maybe we should make him have sex with a man. No, I rescind that.
I think if you just watched gay porn for 48 hours, you would just become like desensitized to it, because that's what happens when you watch porn for that long. And then like 3 weeks later, you'd be like, that was some good shit.
We're at a strip club on Monday. Not Tyler. Tyler didn't come, but
I know. I was really. Me and Carly cried about that a little bit.
it was our friend's birthday, and she wanted to. She was a girl. She was like, I want to go somewhere fun, and it was like nothing's open on like a Monday.
Yeah, Monday evening at 11 o'clock.
Someone suggested kind of as a joke strip club, and then everyone's like. So we ended up at the strip club. Three girls, 3 guys.
Granted, this is a Winnipeg strip club, so it's
Well, it was also Monday, so
not the best.
Anyway, but like after like 10 seconds of watching the stripper, Jean-Luc, my roommate here, and podcast alum, leans over to me and he goes, "Man, porn's really ruined me." He's like, "I want to see something way more graphic than this. Like, this is just like not."
And for reference, we have full nudity in this province.
Yeah, that's weird. How like places in America, you can't like you have to have your nipples covered and shit.
Yeah, like that. The vagina, nipples, everything covered. Or sorry, no. In Ohio, it was tits out, but had to like still have underwear on.
Can we call it like? Let's be professional.
It's just a titty bar at that
and
point.
call it the like anatomically correct pussy.
Right, yeah. No pussy.
That's what it says in the books. What was I saying? Yeah, no, they you throw $5 on the stage there, and they will spread their legs like wide open and put their legs behind their head. Like it's as graphic as you can be without touching them.
Yeah.
Like I find that interesting.
And
that,
if you're in a lap dance, they can touch you.
Here? I'm pretty sure that they cannot.
Oh, no, that was just that one time.
Well, I mean, I think they can do whatever they want.
No, they're not supposed to. No,
I don't know,
no,
like,
no. Now that I remember,
see-
the girl that I went with, she was friends with the stripper that did the.
Word.
Okay, that's all it was.
They yeah, strip clubs are a weird business. You know what's funny? Like probably half an hour in, my business partner Zach's there's a person between us, and then he's on my right, and he like leans over and taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, "What do you think the capacity of the building is in here, like for the ROI?" Right? As he's asking me, I show him my screen, and I'm texting my friend Ty the exact same question. Like,
oh, there's a reason you guys are fucking best friends.
Both of us, like, you're watching this girl like spread her ass,
And you're like, what's the ROI per square foot on this bitch?
And my literal going through my head was like, okay, I see 4 strippers, a bartender, a bouncer, and a security member.
Yeah.
I'm like doing the wages quick in my head. I'm like, this looks like $3.25 capacity to me. $7 beers, cash only.
Yeah.
So they're not paying they're probably not even telling CRA about half the shit. Never mind.
Yeah.
So this is all going through my head. Well,
it's probably owned by the HA or something.
Well, so the building's up for sale.
Yeah.
Because I'm texting my friend Ty, and he's a real estate agent, so he sends me the MLS listing for the building, 4.5 million for the building. But it has the other building, there's a restaurant in the same building and a vendor. You get all that. But I guess
motel and vendor.
Yeah. But I guess you become the landlord to the strip club. I don't think you own the strip club.
Right.
But yeah, it was just immediately like my mind went immediately to ROI of this activity.
You absolutely want to own a strip club one day.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of like thinking Sopranos, right? They do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they do all their business out of the back of the bada bing.
Yeah.
And so here's kind of where I'm at. in my like long-term financial goals. I'm in the liquor industry. I'm kind of like, I would love to be like, if there's an article about me one day that's like Winnipeg's king of vice,
Yeah.
and I like, I have all these liquor stores and
Yeah.
wine manufacturers, and then like
You got to get into the weed business.
and then I have I'll talk to you off camera, and then like I want to do like a casino would be awesome, like
Yeah.
shit like this. It's just like I would own that,
Yeah.
like just anything. Yeah, I know that like we've had conversations, Jean-Luc and I, about he doesn't think there's any moral way to run gambling.
Right.
Like any government, anyone that's running a casino, there's no moral way. Like you are just taking advantage of people.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, that's almost like
Let's take this first before we.
that's almost like a Puritan way of looking at life, which, I mean, objectively, mathematically, he's correct.
Well, let's dive into this in a second. First, we're going to do this part of the show that we call Shot Caller, the part of the show where you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take. This this shot was donated by the Western Canada Lottery Corporation to talk about the virtues of gambling. Thanks,
Dope.
Western Canada Lottery Corporation, for sponsoring
Virtues
this
of
episode.
gambling. Oh, that's good shit. Why don't we just max out our credit cards and just clear out all the rest of
kinda
our
want to.
inventory?
So
Also, we should just contact Old Smoky.
they probably ship. I can find. I need a distributor. I can probably get someone in Alberta to bring it in, and then we buy from them. I bet I can do that.
Dope.
Anyway, we're talking about, if you're not privy, the whiskey, the fucking habanero mango whiskey that we take on this podcast has become kind of an inside joke. They're discontinuing it in this province, but we got our hands on a bottle.
Shockingly, it didn't sell well. This this poorly labeled and merchandised product that tastes delicious.
We have it because one time Tyler walked into the liquor store and asked them, "What's the weirdest thing you have?" And they suggested this. And that's when it became a meme on this
Something
channel.
like that. I think the story of how I found it changes constantly, but that's okay. That's what legends are for.
Anyway, so I guess like so I get over the vice thing by consenting adults, as long as you're not hurting anyone, for the most part, should be able to do whatever they want, in my opinion.
Yeah, as long as you're not hurting anyone is the line that it crosses, but
Yeah, of course. But, it's hard. Like there's a, in my opinion, there's a certain level of personal responsibility. Like drinking alcohol or doing meth or gambling all your family's money away. Like that in and of itself, the actions aren't necessarily harmful to the point where I should ban people from doing them. Like,
you
maybe,
don't have to ban everyone from doing it.
like, I think my brother may have not overdosed and died if we had better mental health care.
Right.
Because he was on a waiting list for...
Objectively, he would have done better.
Well, yeah, probably, right? Who knows, right? But because he wasn't very receptive to being helped, but he was also, towards the end of his life, he was getting more receptive to it because I think he knew he needed it, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But he was on a waiting list, a 9-month waiting list to get a bed in a mental health facility, and in between when they signed up and when they called, he had died.
Yeah.
And then they called like 4 months after he died and said, "Yeah, good news, you can get him in now." And my dad like lost it on him. The guy was like, "You fucking killed him." Like, it's just like, fuck it. Anyway, and my dad's mild-mannered, right? So
I can't imagine.
He doesn't do that shit.
I
but,
can't imagine.
Yeah, anyway. But imagine that. But anyway, so it wasn't the fentanyl necessarily that, like, everyone that does fentanyl dies.
Yeah.
Right? It was like, if he had good mental health care, there's people that do methamphetamine for fun sometimes.
I want to hang out with those people.
You already are. And there's people that drink alcohol. There's a larger number of people that drink alcohol for fun sometimes. You know what I mean? Like that, the action in and of itself, I think it's intellectually not a great argument to say if we just ban these things,
They'll stop.
then that's like the same thing we talk about therapy and like psychology, is that you're treating the symptom, not the cause.
Right. Like I can see you handling the issues of like people that are destructive gamblers,
Well, that's how I
there could
justify selling alcohol in my head.
right, but there could be a point of like there you can maybe institute a cap on how much you could gamble as a percentage of your income.
Like if I was the government.
Right. But the cap can only be like initiated by it can either be initiated by the person
Or the state can do it.
or by someone that like knows the person.
No, but
Not just objectively by the state. So like if the person is like as a friend, if I'm like
Yeah,
I
but then-
see you gambling and I
Yeah.
call in and be like, you know what, this guy's gambling too much. You should cut him off and like should be able to fill this out. And it's like on a maybe not even just cut him off. Be like, you know what, this is what his income is on paper. This is his tax return because it's government. They have access to all that shit. This is his tax return. He can gamble, but only to a maximum of 10% of his income.
So
Like-
I don't like giving the government any more control
but,
over
like,
people. I don't
there-
like that idea.
There's ways that you can mitigate the damage done. Like
Well, no, but I have real life stories about stuff like this. So in Manitoba, you can voluntarily ban yourself from the casino.
right,
If
but
you walk,
what if you
just wait.
don't?
You can walk in and ban yourself from the casino, and I think you could do like a 6-month, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year terms
Yeah.
that you can ban yourself, and they have the same camera systems that CSIS, our spy agency, has.
Yeah.
Because my friend banned himself from the casino and was like, it's been like a year and a half and out of a 2-year ban. I don't think they're going to remember me. Before he even got in the door, they had like 12 people swarm him
Yeah.
and like physically remove him from the premises because
Because all they have is like a flag, do not allow on the premises. They don't know why. They don't
Well,
care.
yeah,
The security
well-
guards are like, fucking get him out of here.
Well, and apparently the camera did the fucking facial recognition thing
Yeah.
when he got out of his car
Yeah.
and knew he was approaching, like tracking him on the like it's fuck technology. Anyway, but it wasn't that person I'm talking about, but I knew another guy that got
Oh,
banned.
for you American CSIS is
ours.
our CIA
Well, more like our FBI.
or DOJ.
More, yeah, it's our spies. So I guess it is like CIA.
RCMP is more FBI.
You're right.
It's more DOJ, CIA.
So anyway, but so this another person I knew.
Or sorry, DOD. Oh my god, all the fucking acronyms, you monsters.
Another person I used to play cards with back in the day was banned from the casino. I don't think it was his choice.
Yeah.
I think he got too rowdy and was banned from the casino for like a year.
Okay.
So he started doing illegal high stakes poker games
Right.
because he couldn't gamble legally.
Which I've heard about from a mutual friend of ours who likes, they've got this illegal high stakes poker game and some like local trust fund baby baller kid comes
Yeah.
and just like loses money every week and everyone
it's
loves
awesome,
him.
yeah.
Everyone is so happy about it.
The one time I went to the game,
He's like the fifth best and just always loses his purse and doesn't care.
yeah, the one time I went to one of their games, it's all for fun, fake money. Ha ha ha. We would never commit crimes on this podcast. But the one time I went, I remember two of them were talking about how they like to gamble in home games because the casino won't let them gamble enough.
Right.
The casino has like a $2,000 per hand limit.
Right.
And they're like, no, we want to do more.
Wow.
So, and that's why they do illegal games. Anyway, and I actually have a story about this too, but
Well,
my story right now is that this is like a casino is like a safe consumption site.
yeah.
Where if you can't get your fix there, you're going to get it somewhere else.
Yes.
Right? And
that's a great way to put it.
And I always
This is safe drug injection site.
and so this person that I know personally, say he was lucky. I don't like to use the word lucky, but like he was lucky that his friends just happened to have a poker game that they did once a month.
Right.
Right? So that, but like, what if you didn't know that? Now all of a sudden you go down to the fucking dive bars, the one
Yeah.
I'm thinking of on Marion with all the motorcycles parked outside, and you sit at the bar and you kind of ask someone, hey, do you know where someone could play cards around here?
Yeah.
And then they give you an address to one of the, I don't want to name the organization, but you can probably read between the lines, the organization's card game, where then they let you gamble and they let you gamble on credit if you need to. And then, you take credit and then, like
It gets your legs broken.
when you can get caught up with some dangerous people because you're drunk and making bad and you're gambling at it. Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, So this person that I know was lucky that he was with his friends, and when he ran out of money, he was like, okay, now I'm going home, right?
Yeah, and your friends will cut you off.
Yeah, and well, they're it's not like they were super rich. Some of them are like well off, but like, it's not like they have millions to drop, right?
Yeah.
Like, so whatever.
They got rent money to drop.
Exactly. So, but like,
Not their rent money, someone else's.
Somebody else's. But a casino is like a safe consumption site. Just like I always to say, and this pisses people off all the time, I always say bars are safe consumption sites.
Yeah.
You're able to do a drug
Absolutely.
in a controlled environment.
Yeah, and there's a limit as to where your behavior could get you in trouble.
Yeah. And people, I always...
You can get cut off, you can get arrested, you can get thrown out.
All the time in Twitter threads where people are like, no, we can't have a fucking needle program. I'm always like, do you know bars are safe consumption sites?
Yeah.
And they're always like, no. And it's like, statistically, alcohol kills more people than any other drug.
And objectively, it's true.
Objectively, it is a drug. Like,
Yeah.
fuck off. Like, people are just
Stupid.
But so the same thing with a casino.
Yeah.
It's a safe consumption site.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
It's
a good
run,
point.
and like here at least, they're run by the government.
Yeah.
And they
I don't-
watch you, and they,
Before I was friends with you, I didn't know a single person that like gambled
Okay.
or like played cards or anything.
Okay. Yeah, I grew up, or no, not grew up. When I was like a young teen, like 18 years old,
Yeah.
I started playing in a poker league.
Yeah, and for the record, you play a lot of poker.
Mainly, yeah. I was
And you watch poker.
I like poker
You
a lot.
like poker.
I like poker a lot,
Couldn't be fucking bothered.
Yeah, I play online poker all the
Yeah.
time. Add me on Poker Stars, vote Willows. Yeah, I like poker. I play poker from real money. I like it. I think it's a fun game. I don't like sports though, but I like poker.
Yeah.
I'll watch fucking poker games on TV.
Yeah, and I like golf, and people gamble just as much on that. So
good.
so get fucked off your high horse,
Yeah.
you assholes.
Just because it's cards and
Yeah.
not So, but anyway,
People, one of my favorite current TikTok channels is these two guys. They're like, I honestly forget what it's called, but they'll gamble on anything, and they just like work in this office building downtown. Like, I don't know if it's like New York or Toronto or some big city with like a rail system, and these two guys are sitting like at this table, and the whole shtick is when any one of them like proposes a bet, like it's on. They have to take it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, so like, he's like, $20. This train turns left. And this guy's like, nope, straight. And it's like, okay, so the train hits the intersection, turns left. It's like, ah! And they just like gamble, and it's just like some stupid shit every single day.
Didn't a couple of your employees do that?
Yeah,
as
no,
well?
and they're working for me again over the wintertime.
That's
and
funny.
they bet Satoshis.
Which is 1 millionth of a Bitcoin.
Yeah, so it's like, it's nickels and dimes. So they bet Satoshis on just like dumb shit all day. Like, oh, when's this guy gonna show up? Oh, is this gonna be broken? Like just dumb shit all day.
I love it.
But the thing is, they're betting Satoshis from the Shake Pay app.
Yeah.
Where you shake your phone and you get like a couple Satoshis every day.
What does it look like? Okay, continue.
So they just trade those coins, and it's funny. Like, I don't know. The one guy plays chess a lot, so he's super into games, but he doesn't gamble. And the other guy does sports betting.
So I was at the casino for the first time in 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because we used to, no word of exaggeration, we were at the casino 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Went right when I was 18. But I was still going to high school, so I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
We were literally hanging out. Like, there were days where Zach, my business partner, he was the only one with a car. So he'd drive me and my friend Chandler to the casino. We'd stay there for a couple hours, and then he'd be like, I got to go work a shift delivering pizza, leave for 8 hours. And me and Chandler would just hang out there. And then he would come back and join us again 8 hours later.
Yeah.
Like, and it was great because I stole $3 from my girlfriend at the time, and that was the only money I ever put in.
Yeah.
And I had this little book where I would like what I started the day with and what I ended the day with, and I made like $600 on $3 over like this like maybe 9-month period while we were going to the casino like every day.
Yeah.
And we would just play $3 blackjack.
Yeah.
And fuck around because the food was super cheap and good. because they want you to stay at the casino. So it's cheap drinks, cheap food, and I wasn't even really drinking that much back then. Or like I was drinking a lot, but I would never buy it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was still in my like toxic money where I'm just like I need to hoard all the money I get.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just like we used to go all the time, but then I started a business, and then it's just like, when the fuck do I have time?
When do I have time to spend 8 hours at the
Yeah,
casino?
exactly. So and then COVID happened. Right?
Don't worry, we'll get back.
Yeah, so I went for the first time in like 5 or 6 years just last week, and holy fuck! So 90% of the table games are just gone.
Oh wow.
It's just computers now.
Right.
So there's a guy dealing like blackjack at the front of the room, like a human.
Yeah.
But then you're just sitting on a screen. You don't even get your own cards.
Oh.
But then it happens on the screen.
Oh.
And you like make your bet and see your cards and shit. So that's like half the room now, because it used to be the
And
entire.
you just trust the software is good.
Well, you gotta have trust in something, right? Because they could be cheating at blackjack as well, right? Who the fuck knows? But so, because in the Club Region Casino there, the entire back half after the fish tank, which isn't even there anymore, used to be table games, right?
Yeah.
Blackjack, roulette, Pai Gow, Baccarat, all these games.
Yeah, poker.
And then they had a poker room. So I get there, and I was with my friend, and she hadn't been to a casino in Canada because she's from Africa, and she's like, I want to see a Canadian casino, and I'm like, it's not very exciting, it's very corporate. She's like, no, I want to see it. So I'm like, okay. So I took her, and she's like, I know how to. I like playing blackjack. So I'm like, okay, like let's play a little bit of blackjack, and then I'm gonna go play poker for a few, like play for an hour or whatever, and then we'll come back and play blackjack, get some dinner, and then go. So I'm walking around trying to find the $3 or $5 blackjack tables. Can't find them, right? So I walk up to the pit boss, and it's like a Tuesday, so it's not very busy, right? So I walk up to the manager, and I'm just like, hey man, like is like $10 the lowest table you have now for blackjack? He's like, yeah. I'm like, geez, like, I'm like, I'm not saying that's too rich for my blood, but he's like, no, I know, I hear this, I get this all the time. Like, he's like, yeah, the $3, $5 tables, they're now all digital. Right. So I'm like, to this guy, I'm like, if I'm going to play digital, why don't I just play on and then he like finishes my sentence. He's like, Poker Stars, right? That's what I've been saying. He's like, because like Poker Stars has all table games now.
Yeah,
it's not just poker. They have the blackjack and the roulette that you can play online. So it's like, if I'm just gonna fucking play online, why am I paying $7 for a beer? And playing online
when I get at home beers,
when I can just be at home and play, right? And listen to my own music and fucking whatever. And so I start chatting with the guy. Shout out Keith. He's like, yeah, man. And then so I'm talking about the poker room. And he's like, fuck, like, he's like, I'm really proud of that poker room. Like, we put a lot of effort in that thing.
Yeah.
Made it really nice right before COVID. He's like, I get it. COVID happens. You shut it down because fucking COVID. I get it, right? And then that's why they started doing the digital machines, was so that you didn't have to sit beside somebody. So It was like in the interim COVID where they opened stuff back up, but it was before like masks were gone.
Yeah.
So like it was just so you could be 6 feet away from people, right? So apparently no government casino has brought back poker. They just don't have poker anymore. So, and then there's one privately owned, or technically two, but one privately owned casino in the province on a native reserve run by the band out there. And apparently they were like, oh, government's not doing poker anymore, let's open a poker room.
Yeah.
They tried, they couldn't hire enough dealers that would like make the commute, because it's like an hour out of the city, right?
Yeah. One of the guys actually that works for me, like one of the guys that gambles Satoshis, he actually, his first job out of high school, right when he turned 18, was working at South Beach Casino as a dealer.
Yeah. So apparently they've been trying, but they can't get enough people to work.
Yeah. Now he works trades and he makes more money. Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, because you don't get tipped that heavily out here.
Not in Winnipeg. But anyway, so they so there is no place in Manitoba, province of 1.3 million people, to play poker legally, because it's illegal to gamble at home. You can't play cash game. No. Okay, you can play cash games with your friends at home,
Yeah.
as long as nobody is making a profit.
Right. There's no house.
As long as you're just, there's no rake.
Yeah. No rake. Yeah.
Rake is illegal in this province.
Right.
But now that disincentivizes anyone from like running an establishment, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd have to run an establishment for charity, basically, right?
Yeah.
Or like the league I used to play in, they didn't. It was just they had a deal with the bar. We would go into different dive bars, and they would just have a deal with the bar, so they wouldn't take a rake or anything. But then like they get like a kickback, I guess, of all the bar sales,
Right.
which is fine, right? It was basically like a rental agreement. So, so I'm talking to this manager of this government-run casino, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm starting to, I'm walking around, I'm hearing people at the blackjack table be like, hey, I got this home, like." There's this place around the corner
Yeah.
that you can come fuck. And he's like, it's like he needs to start kicking these people out. And he's like, and then they have a fucking meeting with us, the government, saying about how we're not upholding our social responsibility requirements. And apparently a lot of them are mad. They're like, you are fucking doing this. Like, you're pushing people to the black market.
Yeah.
And it's fucking insane. And then we ended the conversation. I was wearing my Shrugging Doctor toque, and apparently they had pushed him into liquor distribution during COVID when the casino was closed.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, I know Shrugging Doctor," so it was funny. But anyway, yeah. So like, you're just by the government not doing it, you're creating a black market for it, right? Because
And
demand
it's like,
doesn't go away.
And the best part about that story is like it's a fractional shift, and and immediately the void gets filled. Like, it's not like, oh, it kind of happens slowly, or it's just 6 months of just slightly changing the policy. You take one game away, and all of a sudden, boom,
'cause
the black market flourishes.
Why, as somebody, like, I understand how the people I've met that want to play $2,000 buy-ins at poker, why they would go play an illegal game, right? But me, who wanted to play $100, why would I go, not saying risk anything, but like, why would I go into a, organized crime owned warehouse and play an illegal card game?
Yeah.
Like, why would I risk getting robbed or, name a thing?
Yeah.
Why would I risk that if I could just go to the casino and fucking play a game? But now you're forcing people like me to do that because there's nothing else. So I thought that was an interesting, like, prohibition never fucking works.
Yeah, so let's take another shot here, which for some reason I'm doing. Usually this is your job.
Go for it.
Rough. So back to our point. Free speech absolutism.
Well,
I see. Let's take a shot.
On the show, if we take a shot that's under 40%, we always take a second one. So,
Old Smoky 2. Oh, delicious. So much better than the last bottle that I got, and it's cheaper.
yeah, usually we I think every week we switch back and forth to what we were drinking, but we just wanted to get rid of that shitty whiskey bottle, so we were taking it every episode for like 7 episodes in a row.
Anyways, mid-shelf whiskey. So I see the parallels between free speech and gambling, as you described.
Yeah, I'm gambling, but like more specifically, vice that can hurt people.
Right.
Like, people ruin their lives with gambling. I'm not arguing that. People ruin their lives with fentanyl and alcohol. I'm not arguing that. But I think there's like people are gonna get it. Gail Bedecker in Breaking Bad said, he's like, "Why the fuck are you cooking meth?" And he's like, "How I see it is like consenting adults are gonna get what they want, and if I make the meth, it's gonna be more pure.
It's gonna be better meth."
Right. And it's like, that's kind of how I feel about like
JL's head is exploding right now.
like that's kind of how I feel like if I could run a casino, it's like I can make it so my customers are safe.
Right. So that's where I was going with it, is the highly regulated or legalized casinos ensure fair games. You can trust that the games are what they say they are. And, even though that people go in knowing that the odds are stacked against them, and they usually will lose, and the house always wins, and all that.
It's not like they're not upfront about that.
Right, but it's not the game is completely rigged and you're going to get your legs broken outside.
Yeah, they
Like there's a big difference.
Yes, because
And those are like people assume that the option is either you go to this nice, fancy government-run casino or corporation-run casino sanctioned by the government, or nothing, or no gambling. No, the option is that or private underground game.
Yeah.
Those are the two options.
Yeah.
The option for not doesn't happen. Like sex work, for example, has been happening since, I don't know, how long have people been people?
Yeah.
And they're like, let's make it illegal. It just goes underground, and it just goes on a website, and they take down the website, and it turns into another website, and then now it's just more dangerous for the girls that are doing it.
Do you see penguins do sex work?
No.
They've documented this on multiple different cases that they'll trade pebbles for sex.
Dope.
Yeah. Because I guess they use pebbles to make their nests.
For clout.
Yeah. But that's real.
Pebbles for clout.
Yeah, that's real. Penguins actually do sex work, so that's fun.
#Club Penguin.
Oh, no! So I guess the whole free speech absolution thing, like we started talking about Twitter, but it kind of like extends into stuff like this, where because like free speech, I can use it to hurt people potentially, right? I can tweet a picture of the Star of David photoshopped onto a swastika.
I can use my hammer to build your house or murder your family.
But isn't that the whole guns don't kill people argument? Like Twitter doesn't kill people.
I can't massacre a shopping mall with a hammer.
Oh, baby, let me tell you.
Maybe like 6,
Have
7.
you ever played Dead Rising?
I can run pretty fast and swing pretty well.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
you got to do the old.
The guns.
How many
guns do kill people?
How many 5-year-olds do you think you could fight off?
I know, that's exactly what I was thinking about.
With a 12-year-old boss every 50 toddlers.
Yeah. What do I have for a weapon?
A hammer, I guess.
A hammer? Like
I think infinite.
Like level. Yeah, maybe. No, until my arm gets tired, basically.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a dark. So let's do two things here. Free speech, as in just speech, publishing, tweeting. Do you think you should be able to tweet whatever you want?
I think you should be able to. Okay, here's where I land on it in terms of like technology. It's maybe unrealistic, but I think maybe you should be able to say whatever you want. But the social media company should have the option to just be like, this ain't gonna hit anybody's news feed.
I agree with that.
You can't share this. You can't DM it, and it exists. They don't delete it.
Even Elon's been saying freedom of speech isn't freedom to not get suppressed.
Right.
And then he banned Kanye again.
Right.
But because
for the same reason he got banned the first time.
Because being a Nazi is hate speech.
Objectively not a good thing.
Is calling for violence, right?
Yeah.
So, but that being said, like, because I guess like in an ideal world is different than like okay. So like a corporation, should they be able to should Twitter be able to ban Kanye for saying something that they don't agree with? But I guess it goes back to you talking about like.
I think there's an objective line that can be drawn.
Yeah.
That society can agree on.
99% at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the 1% that doesn't is the one that wants to do it.
Because it's like the far right always is always like misinterpreting what free speech means, right? They're always like, oh, well, Twitter can't delete that. That's free speech. It's like, well, they're not the government, right? The free speech protects you against the government.
The people that whine and cry about free speech are either like actual reporters and people that do research and journalism and publishing on like oppressive regimes, genocide, police murdering people, and they're like, they use the what's that Israeli software to like hack their phones,
oh, it's
figure
like
out Pegasus.
Pegasus.
Yeah, they use the fucking Pegasus software on. Like, that's suppression of free speech. There's those people, which is
Wait, who invented those?
what?
Who invented Pegasus?
The Jews.
Was it Jews?
It was Jews.
Oh no.
No,
I think Kanye might be right. See, I was kidding, and now he's thinking about it.
no. The Israeli Zionist state is objectively evil.
Well, it just depends on what what.
No, like
opinion
if you read their fucking like charter and their values and stuff, like that ideology is wrong and evil, and most Jews don't agree with it. Most Jews aren't Zionists.
Yes, correct.
So like, there's no. Anyways,
Anyways,
that's a low IQ discussion. Sorry for you listeners.
High IQ discussions are the morals of gambling.
True, and drinking beers.
We're just two boys having a good time. Two dudes hanging out
in cold as fuck Canada. Yeah, absolutism of intolerance. I think you can easily draw the line with Nazism, with fucking fascists, because it's murderous, destructive, and they're the inevitable conclusion of certain ideas is just killing other people.
So, but
and that can't be tolerated. It's
but
always
like,
the minority.
Define not tolerating though, because I've always been kind of like, let them say dumb shit so that you can see the dumb shit that they're saying.
There is a great element to that. So I think the degree to which that Kanye's been making Nazism seem really fucking gross might be one of the most effective anti-Nazi campaigns ever.
Well, also,
like he's making anti-Semitism more inflammatory, more like undesirable than it was before. Like before it was like, okay, some white people say this shit, maybe there's some merits to it. Now he's just saying like unhinged stuff, and an unhinged guy saying unhinged stuff.
He's also a black guy, so that can't go over well with a lot of Nazis, right?
Right. So the Nazis won't back him, but also all the centrists are like, this is fucked. So it might be like a net positive for the left. But
it's a left psyop.
Right. But it's the negative media, it's the negative response, it's the negative reaction to his stuff that is the positive.
Imagine he puts out like Graduation 2 in like a month and it's like the best album we've ever heard.
Like one of the best arguments that I've heard, this is from Propaganda, the hip hop artist. Kanye's been a contrarian his entire life, but also he's mentally ill and stated explicitly in an interview, he's like, you know what, I get really paranoid sometimes when I'm in a manic episode, and I think my housekeeper works for the CIA, and you know what, ha 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 ha, I'm really paranoid, and I think they're Jewish cabal members out to kill me, ha 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 ha. And they're like, okay, great, Kanye, what about your new album, bro? Well, and they just move on, and then he actually loses his shit, and everyone's like, oh, this is so unexpected.
Is mental illness, how far is mental illness an excuse for doing unhinged shit?
4%. Maybe
4 or against?
Accounts for 4% of the unhinged.
No. But let's say someone in a manic episode does something fucked up. Are you giving them a break?
I think that's...
like he's mentally ill.
That's an impossibly complex question.
Well, okay, Kanye specifically.
As someone who's currently getting A's in a master's degree in psychology, I will say that people...
You just confessed to committing fraud.
No, it doesn't work like that. It's common law. It's fine. So, psychology doctrine is...
Also, psychology as a discipline is kind of a hack.
I used to think that, but the more that I learn about it, the less I think so.
Yeah, that's how they get you.
No.
That's like, I've been reading about Nazism. I think there's a lot of merit to a lot of it.
So, like, the... Fair. The shit that we're talking about now in politics was popularized in, like, 1943 in psychology.
Well, right during World War II.
Yeah, so... politics is
What was happening during World War II?
no, this right after. So roughly,
Yes, 1943, the historic finishing of the World War.
yeah. So roughly 79 to 90 years behind the
69.
curve. 69 years behind the curve. We are looking at the same issues that were discussed back then, which is the fact that I was fucking reading. I've read like 20,000 words on person-centered therapy and the fundamentals behind
That's
it.
like one book.
Yeah, which is a lot to read when you're reading like academic journals.
Okay, I read that much Wikipedia every night.
It's dense as fuck.
You're dense as fuck.
I am dense as fuck. Thank you. The idea that people, based upon their lived experience, gender, race, nationality, sexuality, have unique experiences based upon those attributes.
Wow.
Wow, revolutionary idea. It was in 42. And
Sure.
they changed psychology to accommodate for the fact that not only does the client, the person that is being
Psychologized.
therapized is actually the word, which
Oh,
is weird.
no.
I thought that was made up.
I never want to hear that.
Or the
word again.
counselee
Oh no.
and the counselor. The counselee is like they have
Watch yourself, counselor.
yeah, they have all these biases and things that have contributed to the lived experience. Like, oh, I've experienced racism every day. Oh, people just like hate me, and cops follow me around all the time, and I have to be afraid every time like I hear a whoop whoop in the rearview mirror, and I'm like, I'm gonna die today. Versus, I'm a white guy and I just skate through. There's unique lived experiences there. Or whether you're rich or whether you're poor, changes the way that you perceive the world. That idea that you could potentially have a different solution to your problems was revolutionary in 1942. Thanks, Roger. So,
Mr. Rogers?
yeah. So that became normalized over the next 50 years and became part of therapy. So now they account for that shit. Now politics, another 50 years later, is like, maybe it's relevant that maybe people's values are different now that we're a globalized society. Like, maybe we just need to be tolerant of different viewpoints.
No.
And if they're not hurting other people.
Okay, but what about
It's
when
okay.
So this came up with Qatar recently.
Right.
Is where we had the soccer game in Qatar,
The beer ban.
and they're like they execute people for being gay,
Yeah.
but we're supposed to be tolerant of their beliefs.
No. I don't think anyone should be fucking tolerant of executing people for their sexuality.
Well, but it's bad.
The idea was
I like the
like here's the
kill
devil.
them all and let God sort it out.
True. Here, what's that fucking movie? Those
It's called Shrek.
okay, anyways, I
It's a
can't
2001 classic about a man and a princess.
I can't think of the movie, so I'm just going to move on.
It's called Shrek 2.
Oh. Qatar killing people, awful. World Cup choosing to be in Qatar is doing a service to the entirety of Africa and the Middle East, where the people that wanted to go see the World Cup were like, where's football? I'm going to use the real word.
Football.
Football.
Go.
Oh. Where's popular? Africa and the Middle East. And South America. Thick. That's the sound wave is phallic. That's what he's pointing at. If you wanted to go to the World Cup previously, it was like hosted in Europe, and you lived in some African nation, South Africa, or wherever, and you wanted to go to the World Cup, it was in Europe. You had to get a visa. You had to go through all this fucking paperwork. You have to show the floor plan of the hotel that you plan to stay at when you go to the World Cup.
Why?
You have to show like the taxi service you're going to use.
Oh, because we don't trust
right.
Africans.
That's like the visa process for a lot of these African nations. And people couldn't fucking watch the World Cup. But now they have it in a nation where it's like, okay, yeah, if you live in Africa, you can come here without a visa.
If
Qatar-
you're a man.
Right. Of course. Qatar is
Yeah,
pretty,
that one without saying.
Qatar is pretty, but also how many women are flying to watch soccer?
17.
Probably. So it opened it up for, half the world roughly that watches football, and it was
Goal!
it was a good thing overall. And you know what? You know what happened with the Israeli reporters? I don't know if you've seen those.
Yeah, they got
clips.
chased off. I sent that in
They
the
got
group chat.
fucking chased
Yeah,
off,
it's so
man.
funny. Every time they're like, yeah, I'm from the Israel Times, the fucking people like
Like,
we're not having
Get
it.
out of here. Which is awesome. Like, that wouldn't have happened in fucking Britain.
Well, yeah, because Qatar they're Muslim. They hate Israel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've normalized relations, so it's all fine. And Jared Kushner got a $4 billion payday, so it's okay.
That was Saudi Arabia.
Same shit.
Did you just call Qatar and Saudi Arabia the same thing?
No.
We're probably going to cut it there, right?
This is how we get canceled.
Have
and
you
killed.
changed your mind on free speech absolution?
No, because drunk me realizes even more so that hateful people do dangerous shit. And if you want to have a free society, you cannot tolerate hateful, dangerous people. Like, think about school. School's good, school's safe, school's fun, but then you have the bullies. And if you're like, you know what, the bullies have the freedom to bully anybody they want and take all the lunch money they need or want or ask for, that's fine. And there's no more consequences for people doing bad shit. It makes everything less safe and less free.
But then we're back to children. Consenting adults are different than children.
Not really. Nobody really grows up past like 6 years old.
There's no one below 18 on Twitter, so.
There's no one above 18 that has the right to vote.
True.
In terms of fucking emotional maturity, like the average reading level of an American
Oh yeah, it's like almost
is grade like four and a half.
Functionally illiterate, yeah.
The average.
You're arguing people that can't comprehend like books.
Right. So, in the policy governing said people, speech that is hateful and intolerant, and inevitably, if you accept their speech and its conclusions and progression of that, if it were to become more viral, the conclusions of that speech is destructive. It's the eradication of some amount of people and will be a net negative benefit to people. Like, that's just, you just can't fucking tolerate
Well, I guess
it.
why do people hate gay people? Because God told them to.
Basically.
But doesn't God just deal with it afterwards? Like, why do you need to be involved?
Good fucking question.
Yeah. Okay.
Good fucking
All right.
question. I think you just asked the question that like could have maybe fixed the last 4,000 years of war.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess
Let the gays fuck each other and let God sort them out.
yeah. Did you change your mind now that you're drunk on?
No. I'm more angry.
No. On gambling.
No.
I think we started on the same place.
We're on the same side.
Yeah.
It's just your roommate that's not.
I'd like to talk more about that on future episodes, though, because I think there's more threads to go down there. When I open my okay, tell me the Willows Hotel Casino is not the best name,
It's dope.
right?
Do it.
And it's like a willow tree on it. Come
Absolutely.
on, yeah.
Weeping.
And then I'll just have
Because you lost all your fucking money.
when you lose the slot machine,
They hit you with
it's
a
a crying weeping willow.
It's a weeping willow.
Last thing I'll say is that when we were walking through the casino, I told my friend, try to find somebody that's playing the slot machines that looks like they're having fun.
Yeah.
And you can't. It's literally just...
Oh, that's incredible.
It's 95% old people gambling their CPP money, and they do not look like they're having fun.
Yeah.
And then 5% like teenagers...
Doing
or like
it for
20
the first time.
or
yeah.
20 somethings like not having fun.
Yeah.
And then the only people having fun at the casino are like at the table games, and like the only time you'll ever hear people like raise their voices at the roulette, usually like if they win a
Yeah.
big one, and it's like you're drunk with your friends, you're like, oh, like, you know, it's like that's having fun. Fun fact, I was playing $10 blackjack at the casino.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing, so there's like these side bets, which for the record, I think don't do them in most casinos. It's stacked again. It's a thing to help bring the house edge back up. Don't do them. But I had these like leftover $1 chips, and I'm like, what am I gonna do with these $1? I don't want a loony later, right? So I started playing the side bet, and it was like, if you get a 20, if you get a 20 and they have a 20, then you get like, it pays 4-1, and all these, and then it's like, if you get like a queen, the top one was Queen of Hearts. You have 2 Queen of Hearts and they have a blackjack. You get 1,000-1. I hit 200-1 on $1.
Dope.
Got $200. I immediately cashed out and left.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't press your fucking left. And the table was like freaking out.
Yeah.
And then like right after, before I cashed out, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna finish like the money I have on the table, but I immediately put it in my pocket. Then this, like, I guess presumably regular sat down, and the dealer was like, I paid him a fucking Queen of Hearts earlier, and she's like, what? Like, and it was so fun. And I'm like, I barely understood what the odds were.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just want to get rid of these fucking ones, and won 200-1, so I covered like all my gambling for the day, so that was fun. But look up the statistics, because I'm pretty sure that's not.
That 201 is like 1,001.
Probably way less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the podcast that this is now.
Where we believe in free speech, unless you're a Nazi.
And we also believe in gambling, unless you're a child.
In which case...
Come to my casino, where we let children gamble.
And age is just a number.
Well, that's a whole thing, too, with the CSGO Twitch stream gamblers. That's a whole other rabbit hole.
Oh, because I teased in the beginning and I never fucking talked about it. I'm going to say, I'm not going to name any names or specific stories, but like do your own research on this.
I might have to cut this early.
No,
I don't know what he's about to say.
It's fine. This is all stuff that's public knowledge. The sheer volume of right-wing shitheads that claim that, drag brunch is grooming kids and being gay means you're a pedophile, and also believe in QAnon and have an IQ of 13 or 14. It goes down every week. The volume of those people that have been convicted for, like, A, hoarding child porn, B, grooming and trafficking of minors, or C, sexual assault of minors and or trafficking of minors, and D, just more sexual assault crimes. There's more, like, but I think it's between like 7 and 10 members of the GOP, whether it's like campaign managers or actually elected officials, deputy secretaries of some fucking DA, being convicted of these crimes. It's fucking amazing. Like one of Matt Gaetz' best friends just got convicted of sexual assault of a minor, trafficking of a minor, like was grooming a 14-year-old for a while.
Well, I just
flew them around in his private jet.
I just
was
don't know
fucking
why
them,
they
sending
need
them
to
nudes.
put an age on love.
Like, all I'm saying is anybody that you see that's like
They're
QAnon,
projecting.
that's QAnon, it's fucking projecting.
It's the pot calling a kettle a pedophile.
Absolutely. It's the pot calling a kettle a pedophile, and they're probably Republicans. So, just saying, fucking check these people that just demagogue this stuff all day, because nobody thinks about this that much unless either A,
I like thinking
they're
about
a direct victim, or B, they're doing it. So if they are not A, they are a B. Period.
That was Tyler speaking. I
So-
don't know if I agree with any of that, but we
should.
can't dive into it now because we're out of time. But thanks for listening. You can follow us if you want. We would appreciate it. Goodbye.
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.